Hello and welcome to SoBricks. I'm Adam and this is SoBricks. This is my channel for reviewing Lego sets and building them and other Lego related stuff. In this video, I'm going to be taking a look at the Lego Technic Star Wars Episode 1 Pit Droid set. This is set number 8000, set 8000. It has 217 pieces, and I paid $40 for this set. So this actually has a sticker on it from I don't know if this is a store in the UK, Ames, or where this, maybe it's in the US or Canada. I don't really know. It actually has a $20 sticker on it. This is sealed. This is from the year 2000. So around episode 1 coming out, they did this. They did the Super Battle Droid, which I've actually looked at on this channel before. And they did a couple other Technic kind of models like this. Now, I don't know what the retail price of this was. I want to say it was $20 even back in 2000. But I'm not 100% sure. So let me see if I can find that out. It looks like it retailed for $20, which, you know, all things considered, 217 pieces. It is Technic though. You know, that actually is, you know, adjusting for inflation, actually pretty, well, it's more. I don't know if it's quite doubled, but it is a good amount more. I'm seeing on Brickset right now that this is available used for $27 up to $30, $35, maybe even a little bit more. It says new inbox sealed is maybe up at the $50, $60 mark. I paid $40 for this. I feel pretty happy about that. Certainly a cool collector item, perhaps, to keep sealed. I'm not going to keep this sealed. I'm excited to look at this. I think there's some parts in here that were like Technic parts or kind of Bionicle parts that either don't exist anymore or like aren't used as frequently, which I'm excited to see. I know that there are rubber bands in here, and I think there's at least like 4 rubber bands. I'm hoping those aren't, you know, in rough shape. They have been in the box for 25 years. Lego rubber bands, especially from this era, I feel like were very prone to drying out and becoming crumbly and disintegrating. I know from a lot of my sets from back in that day, that could be just from storage issues or from like reuse or from, you know, poor humidity and temperature control or exposure to UV. I don't really know. I don't know what to expect regarding the rubber bands that are in this set, but hopefully it'll all work out here. And I'm excited to take a look at this. So in this video, I'm going to open this up. I'm going to put this together, and then I'm going to share my thoughts on it. So while I build, I will speed the video up, and then I'll slow it back down to review this set. So until then, enjoy. Okay, so while we look at the build for this Lego Technic Star Wars Pit Droid set, I just wanted to say thanks for watching, and then remind you, if you like this video, click the thumbs up. If you like my other videos, click the subscribe button. That helps me a lot. If you want to support the channel, you can give money to the channel, membership supers and thanks, Patreon, buy me a coffee link, merch, all of that wonderful stuff, and affiliate links as well. So thank you for that. And then I want to talk about the build. So not a ton of pieces in this set, but it actually took me a long time to build. Here we are working on the kind of torso area, and then the legs here. The legs are done pretty much the same, just a little bit stuff is mirrored with some of the colors there and where like the rubber bands are going to be. Then we can work on the arms, and it may seem like I'm getting through this relatively quick, but I assure you I am not, because I made some mistakes and had to correct some errors that I did not figure out until far too late. And so I go through a couple rounds of taking apart some of this, like taking off the legs, taking off the arms and adjusting some of the things. And I ended up having to go pretty far back, almost at one of the earliest steps, which I did incorrectly off by like one Technic pinhole in a lift arm. Here we are working on the head. It actually does a pretty good job to get the sort of roundness, dome appearance of the head. We do have a printed piece there. I do talk about that in the full review because that printed piece is not great. And here I'm sort of trying to figure out what is wrong with this, because I am not able to get this to function in the way that it is supposed to. And I'm using the instructions as a reference. Okay, took off the arms here, and let me see what I can figure out. And, in hindsight, it actually is really, I think, somewhat simple of what I needed to do, but it just took a little bit of trial and error for me. So here you get to experience what that looks like. So now I'm adjusting that piece, that kind of neck piece, which is, pretty early on. Thankfully, there's not a ton of building in this, and like the legs and arms are kind of their own sub-assemblies that can be relatively easily taken off and put back on. And now I am realizing that I still don't have it correct, and I'm trying to address it with the kind of pivot point of the hips that are integral to the kind of functionality there. And I don't think I get that right even yet. I may not. And we're going to go for, I think, another round of taking it off. And then we get to here, and I still don't have it. And it was a really simple thing. So that's just, I like to blame the instructions and stuff like that, because the instructions were different back then. You don't get the same views of everything, but it ultimately was my error, user error there. And we're sort of, I think, approaching the end such that we can add in some of these final touches and that I maybe forgot or missed, and then try to make sure it works with the functionality as it's supposed to, which indicates to me at least that it is built correctly. So that is everything here. A couple final little things I need to adjust and play with, but that's it for this. So now on to my review for this set. Okay, so here we have the Lego Technic Star Wars Episode 1 Pit Droid set. This is very interesting, and if you watched, even though it's sped up, I had some difficulty putting this together, and even now when I'm looking at this, I know I don't have this perfectly correct. And maybe you'll be able to see what I got wrong. I did have some errors in here. That's probably mostly my fault, but building these things from this time, the instructions are a little bit different, whatever. But there's a lot to look at, so we will get into it. And some of the things I wanted to note right off the bat are some of the other things that were in the box there. So we have the instruction manual here, which I will talk about a bit, but I wanted to talk about some of this other stuff. So there was this Lego Technic kind of pamphlet that was featuring the Throwbots. It says Lego Club page 12. I don't know. And these Throwbots were sets. I don't think they were, I considered these essentially Bionicle, but I don't think they technically are. I know that I had some of these. I mean, this might all like predate Bionicle a little bit, but I'm not 100%. Like I know I had that one and still have, many of the pieces for it or all of the pieces for it. I'm pretty certain I had Lava, Onyx. I don't know if I had all 6 of these, but I may have. And then if we look on the next one, these are, I believe those same, or no, these are not the same sets, or maybe they are. It's just that like the wheels for these were different than the discs that were like printed with different things. And I know I had some of these as well, which were very interesting. I know I had some of these Throwbot sets, and I still have some of these like arm pieces there. And this is the era where this set that I'm going to be reviewing came out in. If we look throughout here, we can see more of the Star Wars Episode 1 stuff for the Technic line. So there was the Destroyer Droid or Droidica. There was a Battle Droid here as well. And then the Pit Droid, which is what this one is. And I know that I looked at the Super Battle Droid, which maybe came out after this. Maybe that was 2000, 2002 or something like that. But this was kind of the first, I think, the first wave of these things. We got something over here with the Speed Slammers, which is a sort of sub theme in Technic that I don't remember at all, but they had a sort of launch thing there, I believe. Onto the next page, we have Mindstorms, including some like R2D2 Star Wars Mindstorms, and more Mindstorms information at the rear. So I thought this was cool to see, a nice little like throwback pamphlet in there. The other thing is this one, which is like Lego Direct, I guess, for, I don't know if it's for mail order or like if it's for what these were essentially, before maybe there was like a website thing there. So we got the Air Enforcer helicopter here, which is like Technic. This one up here, it says not available in any store, and it's this red soccer bus. So it comes with like some maybe soccer players, football players, and a very simple bus. We have the not available in any store Technic team of like drivers. So those are the Technic figures, which are, a lot bigger than the minifigures, and they're weird and weren't around for very long. Inside here, we got, here's a better look at the Battle Droid. We got a helicopter, not available in any store, not available in any store. This two-person motorcycle. We got like a motor set down here. To the next page, we have this one, Super Street Sensation, and the Indy Storm car down here. I thought this was really interesting because this is from the year, 2000. And this one, this Technic set here is 1,408 pieces, and it retailed for $139. So when we look at stuff like this and then modern kind of Technic and Lego sets, and we look at the price per piece, it stayed relatively consistent. And, if we adjusted these prices for inflation, they would be like much more. And if we found some of these sets new in box, they'd be like probably very valuable. This one, this IndyCar down here is 440 pieces, and it retailed for $44. Battle Droid, 387 pieces, $33. And so it really does follow that kind of 10 cents per piece, even back in the day, and even for Technic, where they had like bigger wheel pieces and everything. So I thought that was really interesting. The last one we have here is this diesel rig. This one, 787 pieces, $88. Also has an alternate model there. And then we have like a little form to fill out that you can mail in and get some of these things sent to you. And I don't know if this is specifically, maybe this is Canada release. It looks like everything is in French as a different language. And when I look down at the bottom, Lego Direct, United States and Canada, I believe. Lego Direct for Canadian shipments up here. So just a interesting little thing for Lego. And on the back, we have the Droid developer kit again here, with some of the Mindstorms Star Wars stuff. So interesting little inserts. The other thing I wanted to make note of is these bags. These are the bags that the pieces came in, and they are, have a graphic on them. They're printed. They're not just clear. They're not. They're different. They're certainly not paper. They're still plastic, like they were doing. But I don't know when they stopped doing this. I was pleasantly surprised to see this in here. So I think this is really cool, kind of showing like what part of the model is going to be built with each bag. And I thought that was unique. I thought these were kind of a cool little inclusion there that is just something that I don't necessarily remember from my childhood, of like seeing bags like this be printed and stuff. So with like the graphic on there, and maybe it was a short-lived thing. Maybe it was existed like that for a while. I don't particularly remember this, but maybe it's just a small detail that I never paid attention to when I was a kid. So very, very cool. That's some of that extra stuff. And then the rest of the set is the build itself. Now, I had a tremendous amount of problems with this, looking at the instructions and comparing them to modern instructions. They are a bit different. I don't know why this is, but it's almost like these where they put the pieces used for an individual step in sort of this like window, almost like a computer window there, and it looks like it's got like the header bar area. It says like a Technic, and it almost it has like a circle and a check mark there, but it's also like where it would be in like old Windows 99, or I don't know, in 2000 what operating system we were at, but it just feels very much like that, which is different. And then also the instructions are essentially keeping everything in the same orientation, kind of that isometric ish kind of angle. There might be like subtle angle changes, but for the most part it is done all in that kind of scheme, and that does provide some challenges. And I think I can attribute some of my difficulty in building this with that, but I also know that some of it, at the very least, was human error. The other thing about this is there is an alternate build for this set. It's featured on the box, and that is to make a this like speeder here, this like speeder bike build, which is pretty cool. I want to say, I think that's awesome. I like when they do 2-in-1s. They don't do them as often anymore. Technic are maybe somewhat notorious for being difficult to take apart, but I know I've done videos about like alternate builds and stuff for Technic sets, and I wish they would still do them. And if we look at the back of this, it actually just has the instructions to build that speeder bike alternate right in the back, which is nice to include. And I don't know if I'm going to be looking at that. I'll see about it. I may end up wanting to do that. I may decide to skip it, but really kind of interesting here to see. So that is that. And then we have the pit droid. So no figures in this. The pit droid here is built in 3 bags of pieces, 3 kind of sections. So we build like the torso, chest, hip area, and the legs and feet in the first bag. Then we build the arms, and then the final bag of pieces, we build the head here. These are, even in the source material, kind of they're thin, they're flimsy. I remember them being somewhat clumsy, and there's a lot of that in here, but it is, very light. There's only 217 pieces in this, maybe, and a lot of them are, small pieces, and this is neat. I will say the things that I got wrong and that I kept trying to fix without starting completely over were like, well, I thought it had to do with the axle that goes through the legs, kind of up at the hip area through this kind of bigger type gear there. And I also thought that it was the neck piece. I found out eventually that it was this neck piece here. I didn't have them in the, I think I had this. If we look behind the arm, that axle where it's going through, I think I had that in this beam or lift arm piece in that hole kind of right on the corner, or like where it's curved or where it bends there. And I needed to have these separated out a little more. I also think I had this maybe oriented the wrong way. If this piece was, imagine, rotated like 180 degrees or something like that. And so I was getting a ton of issues with that. What I just noticed now is what I did incorrectly here is looking at the chest. This piece and this piece are the same, but this one should be spun around. Now, I actually don't think that would be that difficult to correct. So now that I've already, taken these apart and putting them back together a bunch of times, I'm wondering, I believe this is supposed to go a slightly different way, and now I might not be able to get this out. There we go. Handy dandy brick separator, which did not come in this set. And I want to say if I get it like this will correct that, what I had wrong. So there was like a little bit of a gap here. These have like a taper. They are the same, like right to left there. And I just built them the exact same instead of sort of mirroring it. So that is why that was incorrect. And I can get this back in there and get this rubber band back on there. So now it should be good. So building the torso, we actually start pretty much with the green part here and add on these side kind of panel-ish pieces, which is like a Technic piece that I don't see anymore. There's several pieces in here that I don't know if they're not being made anymore or if they're like a Bionicle piece or what, but this is like a unique one that I haven't seen in like a long time. And I've looked at many different kind of Technic sets, but not a lot from like these kind of eras. So this is that piece there. It's just kind of a unique shape. And we use a couple of those. And then we early on like add sort of the neck piece here, which is just one beam. We connect on both sides and we use these like sub-assemblies, and there's some functionality with this that needs to work in order for it to be built correctly. And that was part of the issue, is that I wasn't able to use the functionality of this just because of the errors I had made in putting it together. Now they should all be correct, but this is actually like pretty bare bones. There's not a ton in here. It doesn't feel like, there's gaps and there's holes, but it is supposed to be a droid. And I personally think that building like this and using the Technic pieces are actually kind of like the perfect way to build some of these, especially at the time. So that's really, really neat. The legs, there's nothing like super special going on here. This piece I know was used like in those Throwbots and other stuff, maybe Bionicle, and I don't see that as much anymore either. These feet pieces, these were like also like head pieces and stuff. You can kind of see here, there's a place where you could clip on or sort of put on these small little bumps there, those little nubs, and you could put like a mask on for the Throwbots or for whatever. So you could also interchange those. So these pieces were used for different things, used for feet, used for heads. I think they work well as feet here, not a big deal. Color selection throughout this is fine, just some green, tan, and then the gray and black and different stuff. The feet and legs are like narrow. They are thin, but we also do have knees, kind of. They just bend the wrong way. Well, bend the wrong way if it was like a bipedal like human, but maybe in a droid, they bend the actual right way. And then ideally, I think they would kind of be able to bend both ways in order to walk. And that's the first bag of pieces. I had to come back to that a lot. The second bag of pieces is the arms here, and we actually do have some like accessories. I don't know what they're supposed to be. This one kind of looks like a trident or maybe a wrench or something. I think the pit droids are like, mechanic droids in like pod racing things. I would say that sounds like what they would be to me. We also have this one over here. I have no idea what this is supposed to be. Some other tool, some other thing. It is a nice, unique little look there, and those can be held in the hands. The arms are built the exact same. There's no mirroring going on. We're using these like ball joint pieces up here. Those are still used, although they may have been updated at various points. Like, I don't know if they have this like vent right there anymore. And then these kind of arm pieces, again, these are like a very bionicle, very kind of or proto bionicle kind of piece. So it's sort of a 90-degree angle here, has like some Technic pinholes in it, and these kind of just extra little almost pneumatic looking or hydraulic looking kind of details there. And those are used for different things. So we have a ball joint up at the top. We can spin this all the way around. Also have a ball joint here. We can move that as well. We're limited only by where the like ball joint clip piece would hit the Technic axle in there. And then we have the hands, which are done in an okay way. We do have some functionality, kind of. You can see there's a rubber band here going around the hand, which means we can like sort of open and close if this is like maybe two fingers here or two appendages and then like a thumb area there, we can kind of get that to work. And because we use that rubber band, which again, I don't know if I put this on right. I thought maybe I had it right and then it was wrong, and I'm hoping it's right now, but at least it's working. We can actually fit the accessories in there. Other arm built the exact same way, and we can move the thumb there to clip something in as well. And then yeah, we have decent articulation of this. And then we build the head, and the head is where this all comes together. Actually, this can stand on its own. It's got a slight lean forward, so when it's like flat on the ground, the head kind of angles down, which I think is right and appropriate for this. So I like that. Just kind of an interesting build here, using some flexible tubing pieces here, using the flexible almost axle looking piece. These antenna here are also on flexible kind of tube. These are the type of Lego like bar or tube pieces that I don't know if they ever officially like instructed people to cut those to length or anything, but they're like hollow and flexible. And it's another thing that I think they still make and still use, but maybe a lot more sparingly or maybe not as often. Got kind of some of these panel-ish pieces, these like curved slope pieces there to really round out the head. There is some functionality up here, just some axles on the bottom. And then this. So this is like a Throwbot wheel piece, I would say. They are used kind of like not in this one because it's got the big tire up front. Here you can see with like one of those masks on the kind of piece that's used for the foot on the pit droid. But if we look at this, these kind of pieces that are like the wheels up on the front or rear of these Robo Rider, I guess maybe these are Robo Riders, not Throwbots, but they're similar. They're so similar. So we got some different looks at the kind of masks and stuff there. But yeah, this wheel type piece is, I believe, what this is. And this is printed. There's no stickers in there. There's nothing. So it's got this print. It looks much better on the instructions. I think it's just supposed to represent like a reflection. I don't think it's supposed to be like a light or something, but it may be. But it doesn't work super well. I mean, here the circle for that, the kind of little lighter colored circle or white colored circle in there is like really well defined. On the one that I have, it is not well defined, and so it kind of works more as if it's like where light is like reflecting off of that or something. It's just kind of smudgy. It has sort of a gradient area of where it gets sort of lighter. Opacity is fine. There is like a little bit of a texture kind of on this, which is unique. It's just this, if it's supposed to look like that, looks way, way different in person. And same if we look at the one on the box, it's like very clearly delineated, that little circle there. And the one that I have in front of me doesn't have that. So a little bit of a production thing there. And then there's all the functionality with this. So the build is actually pretty much what you see is what you get. We can articulate it. You can't really do walking, but one of the things it can do is collapse down into its sort of, what would I call that? It's like sitting or like folded up kind of thing, similar to like the battle droids. And actually, in that one booklet, there was an image of the battle droid, I believe, collapsing up. So here we can see that we can actually get the battle droid tucked in like it is in one of those carriers. The droidica should be able to like fold up and roll, which they've been sort of able to do since then. And then the pit droid is supposed to have an kind of a deal of that as well. And this is what it took me a while to get this right. I realized there was some steps that I missed and just some stuff I didn't have correct. So, but this is what it looks like. If we push down on the head, we get it down like that. And then we, there's like a mechanism that keeps it locked in there. And then we can fold the feet forward and get this sat down. So when this is all folded up, it looks like this. And then, the arms, we can try to do whatever whatever works for them. It's not a big deal. I found like the legs, if it's set down on something like this, then the legs are pretty stable. I mean, right now they're kind of in like a locked position, but they do have these rubber bands pulling on them. So even a little bit will like kick the legs back out to being straight. And like it can't really rest anywhere in between here, but like once it's all the way at the top, and then especially once this is sat down, so both of these are on the ground, it is fine. And that is the collapsible pit droid. Now, in the movies, I believe these are like, I don't know who does it, if it's Anakin or if it's Jar Jar or if it's Qui-Gon or if it's Obi, I don't know who, but someone I think like bops one of these, and I think that either makes it collapse or makes it uncollapse, and you sort of bop it on the nose. I feel like I remember young Anakin saying like, hit the nose or something, even though it doesn't have a nose or something like that to operate or adjust the pit droid. And this has that too, essentially. And what I'm going to do is sort of show what this looks like, and then maybe show what I want to happen. So the nose area here actually does slide in and out, which shifts the whole like head area. So if I push this in here like that, it will release kind of the body part here that folds up on itself. And what happens is this part up here where the nose is slides in and out. It has a rubber band just on one side, so it will like go back to that position, sort of spring loaded there. And it has an exposed like axle end underneath here that will kind of lock into underneath this assembly here, which is like kind of up in the chest. So that's how that locks in there. It's not like a lot of movement there, but when it's in its other, orientation, it does look a bit different. Now, the other thing is I haven't exactly found the best way to get that to work. And I really wanted it to be able to like stand up on its own. And maybe that was like too much like wishful thinking in my mind based on like the power of the rubber bands or just the mechanics of this. Like I really wanted to be able to like bop the nose and this would pop up and stand on its own. And that's just not something that will happen. And so maybe it did work like that. Maybe it could work like that if we had some stronger rubber bands and different things. But just the actual like way I wanted this to work, it would have to like pop up and somehow like balance itself enough to get up like that, and just the center of gravity shifts here a lot, so it would really have to like, I don't know, it seems like a pretty complicated engineering question to or problem to solve to try to get this to actually stand up. We would need like the body to go first, get the hips locked in, and then have it bring it all forward on the legs, or maybe the legs go first and then like if these started going and then the body went up, maybe there's a thing. But it's so thin and so kind of wobbly down here at the legs. There's not a ton of surface area. The legs don't sit like perfectly flat on the ground, so it has these little kind of protrusions there on the back, so it has kind of a natural forward lean, and that is visible from the head too. So just a little bit of a different thing. And then, you know, when we do this, you can see that you can kind of activate it with the axle that's going through the leg there, and then like the whole body kind of collapse and the chest sort of flattens out, and it just seems like it's not maybe designed for that, even though it does have in the instructions some kind of examples of what we would do here, how to like put this down. We like push the head down, we wait for the click right there. We can fold in the legs, and then we have it like this. And then, you know, if you hold it, I guess they're holding it sort of from the top here, and you bop the nose, and it will unfold. And then we can like put the different things in its hands and whatever. So let me try that if I hold it like the way the person was in the thing. So if I hold it here, get the legs up there, and okay, I mean that's not terrible. It actually went kind of fast. I'm not sure like the best way to bop it. Yeah, but let me see here if I can do this again. Okay, that was a pretty good activation of it. Maybe the best one I've had so far. So, yeah, if it's like on a surface, it's not going to do that. But if you just lift it up a bit, the body will kind of all unfurl there in a pretty satisfying way. So I'm happy with that. At the beginning of this, I was concerned about the rubber bands, because rubber bands from this era, maybe like I said at the beginning, it was just that they were, if I left them on here like this and then just threw this or displayed this or threw it in a box of other Lego or something like that, or just played with it a bunch, these rubber bands I believe would like dry out and get crispy and I don't like crunchy and crumbly. But the ones that were in the box and in the bag were still fine. The other thing, which I don't necessarily remember, is we have a ton of extra of these rubber bands here. So it just comes in a little bag, and we get a bunch of these extras. So we have two different sizes there. The smaller ones are used kind of in here at the like chest area and kind of at the knee area. The bigger ones are used on the fingers. I don't remember if this is a bigger one or a smaller one. I think maybe a little bit of a smaller one. Depending on like what size these are, we can probably get better rubber bands in 2025 that would last a little longer. Maybe it would have more spring action to it and everything. But I'm pleasantly surprised and happy to say that the ones that were in the box work totally fine. And so that's all very good. If I were going to, which I probably will keep this built and hold on to it for a while, I am probably going to undo some or all of the rubber bands for most of the time. Even if this was going to be like standing on a shelf or sitting on a shelf or something, I imagine I would take these off just so I'm not like they're not constantly being stretched or constantly being used. And if I do that, we can sort of see what we have going on here. The hands wouldn't be able to hold everything if I took these off, but that's just something I would have to contend with. And then there's one more kind of up here. This one was challenging for me to get on, which maybe I'll just leave it right there, even though I should have put it on earlier. So now we don't have the rubber bands on it, but I feel like, it's not going to probably be able to stand on its own. It can sit in the kind of collapsed up version really nicely, actually, I think. But like you can see the thumb is going to like rotate around and kind of flay open like that. And the legs, they're just going to kind of wiggle. But, the head, because the mechanism sort of locks, is pretty good. Could this stand on its own? I do not believe so. It just has a tendency to want to collapse just because of gravity there. Maybe there's some place to balance it, but the rubber bands are like structurally necessary for it in the standing position. And because of that, I would have to display it with the rubber bands, but just for sake of like preserving the rubber bands, I might choose to take them off. I've done that with other sets in the past. And, in this case, it's a little bit of a bummer that it can't really stand on its own without them, but it can sit on its own without them. And how difficult would it be for me to like throw these back on? I don't think it would take too long to get it back in operating form. I might as well do that for the end of the video here. We are just threading some of these rubber bands on these like Technic bushing type pieces there, and they have a little groove in them which help kind of hold it in place. Plus, when they're under tension, it works. We also use these ball joint pieces there as well to hold rubber bands, and we can kind of get this back into form such that it can stand on its own. So we're pretty much there. I don't have the ones on the hands right now, which I could get. I don't have the one up on the head right now. And I might just say there's probably modifications that can be done to allow, if we took the rubber bands off, to like allow for this to stand without them. Maybe just adding in some pieces to like temporarily kind of hold things together, or I don't know, using string or using something else. There's probably a way to do that, and I'm sure people have done that. Maybe not, but it seems like something that would have been done. So that is good there. And then for these, I don't know if I remember how this is done. It's kind of strange putting these hand ones on there. I think that is right, but the rubber band got a little bit twisted in there, so hopefully that is okay. And if I do this one over here, get that back on there, and now all of the rubber bands should be back in place, and this should be good to go here again. which is nice. So that's kind of everything there. You do get those extra rubber bands, you get a couple extra things here, and then we do get some extra pieces. And it's about what you would expect, but also a little bit different. There's like a lot of duplicates in here, a couple pins, axles, and then these bushing pieces, the half pin with the stud several places, the piece with the ball joint on it. So those are all the extra pieces. I thought it looked a little bit odd. I don't know if this is how they were doing pieces back in 2000, extra pieces like that. Obviously, we have many extras of the rubber bands there. I tried to think like, where am I missing some of these pieces? And I don't think, frankly, I am not having them anywhere. I think, by and large, I haven't forgot anything. I know I did make some mistakes. I did have to take this apart at various stages, and then even at the beginning of this video, I had to correct a mistake up here, but I don't believe I'm like missing anything like this, at least not anything that's really mission critical. So those are the extra pieces, and this set is 217 pieces. I paid $40 for this set. It retailed for $20 in the year 2000, and I'm fine with what I paid for this. It's a little piece of Lego history, licensing, Lego Technic stuff from way back in the day is like very valuable for collectors. Technic is interesting. There's like not any real system stuff in here. The only pieces that I would consider like system pieces or like brick system pieces are these dishes that have the stud on them that can just be put in Technic pinholes. We do have places where we could use system stuff, and obviously many Technic pieces are using brick system things. Here we have like the axle with the stopper that has a stud on it. We use a couple of these half pins with the stud on it. Same up here on the antenna. But a lot of this is like Technic stuff, and that's pretty cool. I guess I'm not like I'm happy with what I paid for this. $40 seems very reasonable considering all of the time. It's been 25 years since this was like available or on the shelves or being produced, or at least since the release date. I got it sealed, like new in package. So it's just been sitting somewhere for 25 years before making it to me. Paying double what it cost back in the day, given inflation, given the everything else. I mean, it just doesn't feel that bad in my mind. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. When I'm looking at like retired sets, vintage sets, old sets that I get like new in box, there is an assumed kind of premium to those because they're not being made anymore, and they haven't been made in a long time. So there's a finite number of them out in the world, and that can drive it diminishes the supply such that demand, if it is there, goes up and the price goes up. That said, like I believe on Brickset, it says that this is new in box seen for like 50, 60, 65, $70 or something like that. And so I paid under that, which I feel really good about. Even like a used one, not new in box, like a built one like this on Brickset, I think it was in the, 20, 25, 30, $35 mark. So I paid the $40 mark, $30 price, sorry, $40 price for this to get it sealed, retired set, old set, Star Wars set. Iconic, silly little thing, and I'm at peace with the price I paid for this. I thought this was really fun. It was challenging in ways that are particularly user error, but also in ways that like Lego as a company has addressed since the time here. So I don't believe the instructions would be exactly like this if they were going to build this today. I don't believe even, this is how they would do this if they were going to build it today. I think it'd be interesting. I don't know how many times they've done like pit droids or anything like that. I'd be curious to see another one of these done. I don't know if they'd ever do, I don't think they would ever do one like UCS style like they have done, or like the bigger style like R2D2 or C3PO, or even like the Droidica kind of in that MIDI scale or anything like that. Maybe this is something they would revisit. I don't know how well it sold back in the day. I did not get this as a child, and I probably would have struggled with it then as well. I did now in 2025. Just some issues with being able to see what is done and then just maybe going too fast and not paying 100% attention, and a few other things that are just sincerely my fault here. But that is everything for this. I thought this was really fun. Maybe you did as well. So let me know in the comments. I appreciate it. And with all that said, actually, yeah, this is good. If you like this video, please click the thumbs up and give it a like. If you like my other videos, click the subscribe button down below so you can stay up to date on all the LEGO videos I'll be doing here in the future, including more LEGO Technic, more LEGO Star Wars, and then tons of other sets from all different themes, all different shape, size, price point, piece count, tons of different stuff. Vintage sets, old sets, new sets, used sets, retired sets, lots of different things that I will be covering. So if you're interested in my takes on those things, consider subscribing. That helps me a lot. If you want to support the channel in a different way, you can give money to the channel if you would like. On YouTube, membership, supers, and thanks. Patreon, linked in the video description. There's a Buy Me a Coffee link linked in the video description. There's some merch on a TeePublic store that's linked in the video description. If you want to get a t-shirt or a mug or a phone case, I don't know why you would, but if someone desired, those are available. And then there's affiliate links as well. And so if you click on one of those links and you buy a computer monitor or a desk mat or a can koozie or something, but you used one of those links in the description, I'll get like a small percentage of that sale at no additional cost to you. So it's another great way to support the channel. Every little bit helps. Every little bit adds up, and I do appreciate it. So thank you very much. And with all of that said, until next time, thanks. Bye.